Hello YouTube, it's May 14th, 2022. Welcome to Louisville, Colorado for the Louisville Criterium. This is Garrick Mitchell with Stemsiders Racing, and you are riding in the 50 plus 1-2-3s field. About 20 seconds after us, they started a 60 plus and 70 plus field as well. But we've got, I think, 30 or 35 people in the 50 plus. So we are on the kind of lumpy football-shaped circuit, about 3/4 of a mile long. It's got a bit of a hill. We're at the bottom of the hill right now. And so we'll do 25 basically power climbs. And the question each time is, do the legs have it? The last time I raced in Louisville was actually 2016. Every edition since then I've either had family commitments or, of course, the pandemic came about. So I haven't raced here in quite some time. Thankfully, since I was here last, they have repaved pretty much the entire circuit. The section we're on now used to be, as I recall, 2 lanes in each direction, and now they've reduced it to 1 lane and put in a bike lane, which is cool, but there's a couple places where the road pinches in. So with the start finish at the top of the climb, let's take a lap. Short ways after the finish line, we've got a right curve that goes straight downhill. This is a fun part of the course. There are 3 manhole covers. I'm going to hit 1 at least. 1. There's 2. 3, I missed the 3rd one, but just after the 3rd, you turn into this sweeping downhill corner, and then kind of a gradual S-curve on the bottom of the course before the tightest turn on the circuit. As we go through this moderate right-hander, you've got to get set up for the tight right turn. The road narrows down on the exit. Stay out of the gutter on the left side because there's some water. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of wind today, but what little there was tended to push us to the right side of the road at the bottom of the climb. Here you see, again, the bike lane I was talking about, but thankfully they put some cones in to help us see the narrowing of the road on the right side just ahead. And so we continue climbing as the road curves back to the right. And again, we top out at the start finish. So some technical notes about the video today. I've got obviously both front and rear-facing GoPros. The inset video is my rear-facing camera. The patent-pending mirror image butt cam. Yes, it is a mirror image, so just pretend you're looking in the rearview mirror. I found that's a lot more intuitive in terms of trying to kind of figure out where the folks are behind me. So if you see someone disappear out the left edge of the butt cam, he'll appear in the left side of the forward-facing camera. So I think that'll help. As far as the data goes, I've got my usual speed, power, cadence, and heart rate. But through the magic of the Garmin, it's actually figured out that I'm doing multiple laps, and it's getting lap times, which is pretty cool. So it's showing the lapse time for the current lap, the time for the last lap, and then my best lap so far. And then there's a lap counter as well. So pretty cool stuff. That's all. I didn't have to do a thing except drag that gauge into position. I'm using, so my workflow is probably stupid. I'm initially just putting the data overlay in the forward-facing video using Garmin Verb Edit, and then I'm inserting the butt cam and the voiceover in VSDC Video Editor, which I'm no editing guru, but it's actually been a nice package, VSDC. So I'm getting the hang of it. I need to do it more. And one thing I'm doing differently is I'm actually using the audio from the rear-facing camera as it helps with the wind noise. Sometimes I pick up conversations behind me that I really didn't hear during the race, so it's like, wait, where's that voice coming from? But I was going to say the pavement is actually quite nice, except for the manhole covers, which a lot of them were sunken a little bit. So every so often you'll see folks either bunny hop or kind of do a quick steer around a manhole cover. And another aspect of having the audio from the rear camera is sometimes when I just nail a manhole cover, it gives a really juicy kind of thud in the bike audio. So the laps are about 3/4 of a mile long. Our lap times, I think, range between low 130s and maybe about 1:50. But my goal for today really was, as I call it, to be invisible. I didn't want to be at the front of the race, didn't want to put my nose in the wind. If you look back at my last video from the Louisville Criterium version 2, I was being kind of stupid there. But my goal is to not be in the wind, but not tail gun either. So that's another reason for the butt cam. I can look back later and confirm that I wasn't tail gunning. But one thing I found today was that there was a lot of kind of, well, it's pretty typical. There's a lot of side-to-side motion in the crit, especially when you have a downhill. Folks tend to bunch up a bit, we get wide, and then we got to set up and narrow down for the next turn. And there were times that I was a bit timid about moving side to side. And as you see, I ride through the gutter here to minimize how much I got to move out to the left. But it seemed like every time up the hill, most times up the hill, I was on the right side like this. We crossed under the start-finish, and then setting up for the first corner, everyone swings left, kind of gets into the left turn lane, but I was never quite sure how far over to the left I could go. What if someone was coming up fast, behind me and passing me on my left? You'll see people kind of dive bombing the inside of corners sometimes as well, which I was trying to avoid. So here I'm not even in the left turn lane because I don't know how far I can move over. So I think that's something I need to work on. But it was a safe race. The 50 plus, these are all very experienced riders. I enjoy racing with them. This is fun. So I'll admit that more often than not, I was feathering the brakes coming into that corner simply because, usually we were a little bit wide as a group and had to kind of funnel down. And if you're behind the wide point of the group, you gotta slow down a bit. But what I tried to do going up the hill was to move up when I could do so without just killing myself. So like here, you see I was able to move up the left side. The group slowed down a little bit. So it's part of my anti-tail gunning regimen today. And I think it worked pretty well. But, the goal, and you'll hear other broadcasters of crit videos talk about it as well, is really, ideally, you just want to keep your effort as steady as possible. And really, if you're up front, then you can do that. You can maintain your own pace without having really spiky power output. Whereas if you're at the back and having to chase down every gap that opens, you end up with big spikes in power. You may be coasting for a long time, but when you do have to get back on the power, you really have to burn a match every time. So the announcer indicates there's an 8-second gap. I still don't have a clue, who's up the road. I was really just focusing on riding a steady race. I guess I could look up and see if the lead moto is in sight. But yet another poor situational awareness ride for me so far. But I do want to give a shout out to my one teammate in this race. We've seen him off and on. We'll see him again. But in STEM Siders Racing Blue is Greg Nye. And Greg recently upgraded from Cat 4 to Cat 3. And so he's enjoying learning the ropes of the 1-2-3s. I just remember my first mass start event as a 3 in Colorado was actually the Littleton crit in the 40 plus 1-2-3s, and it blew my mind. It was like, wow, yeah, this is what crit racing is all about. And the 50 plus is similar. I mean, these guys are plenty strong, plenty aggressive, but as I like to say, about 2% slower than the 40 plus, and that makes a whole lot of difference. But welcome, Greg. Glad to have you with us, and here's to a lot more racing and a lot more learning for both of us. So you see some kind of churning of the field going up the hill here. Folks are starting to try and chase things down, get the breakaway back. There's Greg right in front of me. But yeah, you see definitely the field is getting a bit strung out. But see how many manhole covers I'll hit. Oh, so yeah, Greg was slowing down a bit. I go to his outside, and then yeah, there's someone getting lapped right at the entry to the turn there. Thankfully, he slowed down and waited for us, but there's a bit of an elevated pucker factor there. I was definitely grateful, except for the last couple laps. It wasn't really getting drilled going up the hill, so you see how the field is almost curb to curb here. So if you're pushing hard at the bottom of the hill and you look up and see that the group is all wide, you know that they're slowing down, and really you can probably wick it down a bit there, and you'll still catch up to the group. And there were a lot of opportunities to kind of conserve your effort. If you knew things were going to come back together at that sharp right-hander at the bottom of the hill, you could kind of creep up on it. Otherwise, you're having to get on the brakes if folks slow down in front of you. But yeah, it's mellow at the moment, which I didn't mind at all. So fairly strung out this time up the hill, but thankfully I had a decent drive through the last right-hander, so didn't have to close much of a gap. Don't see the lead moto at the moment, but I think once we get to the start-finish, he will be out. There he is. So still Gruppo Compatto, and this time, by virtue of being strung out, I'm in a better position. I can actually move over left. I'm in the left turn lane, and not worried about moving out to line up for that corner. I don't know. I just there were several times going into turns that I was just really worried about moving over on somebody, and I guess you just got to be good about listening. Because you can hear the hum of the tires, the freewheel, and you can usually tell if there's somebody there. But especially on this leg of the course, the kind of undulating back and forth, it's just all of a sudden you're on one side of the road than the other, and setting up for the corner. Well, there you see someone on the inside of me. Again, thankfully this group is safe and good about not bumping into each other, or if you do, then the secret is protect your front wheel and your handlebars. In that case, the two riders kind of bumped a little bit, but you stick your elbow out, avoid getting your handlebars tangled up. That's what an experienced rider does. In fact, that was Byron Nix. I'm sorry. Again, I'm looking at a small, low-res version of the video while I'm doing the voiceover. But of course, you can tell Byron by he's got some mirrors on his handlebar ends that help him keep track of what's going on behind him. But yeah, Byron, very compact, very wily rider, and he's not afraid to bump you if he needs to. You don't do it if you don't have to. So on the descent here, really the best place to be is going to be in the bike lane. You pass one manhole cover, two manhole covers, and then, I nailed it there. Just past that third manhole cover, then that's a good indicator to start your turn in. But that's a fun little corner. I mean, it's the road is wide open. You're going downhill. It's fast. It's fun. But definitely when they rebuilt the intersection that we're coming up to now, they made the road considerably narrower, so the exit of this corner is fairly narrow, but we managed it fine. As I momentarily spike up to 800 watts to jump out of that corner, but thankfully I didn't have to be there for long. So down 450 watts. I don't want to have to maintain that for forever, but this lap definitely was strung out, so I'm having to keep the watts up. Yeah, in fact, there's a little. I remember now. There's a little gap there. You need to get around that rider. You always have to be vigilant. Make sure a gap's not opening up in front of you. There were times today that gaps opened, and I just knew that there were enough other people around me who could close that gap that I let them do it. I'm happy to just ride your wheel up across that gap as I'm doing just now. But now we can just kind of roll up on the back of the field. Yeah, I'm not sure what that horn honking was. You get a little nervous when you hear that. We are on a closed course, thankfully, but we're midway through the 13th lap of 25. We're halfway through our 45-minute race, and still feeling pretty decent. My heart rate's below 160. I'm feeling good going up the hill. So. Despite my work-life balance being completely unbalanced for months now, I'm actually feeling pretty good. So my training has been kind of poor lately, but I've done enough. Been doing my usual group rides more and more. I feel like I'm in a decent spot. Am I as strong as I could be this time of year? No, but certainly feeling good enough to stick with the 50 plus 1, 2, 3s. So this next sequence is a good example of I'm starting to feel like I was a bit far back. So coming into this corner, it's a balance between moving up, making up some spaces, and just completely dive bombing the corner. But you'll see the guys on the outside slow down a bit. I move up to the inside. I'll go ahead and stabilize my position for the corner. Some guys were dive bombing this. I don't like doing that. But coming out of the corner, I had a decent head of steam, and I'm able to move up the right side and make up a few more positions. So, I passed a handful of guys, and then of course the head of the group slows down. But I was trying to stay off the back as best I could. Not off the back like OTB, but away from the back of the field, not tail gunning. Managed to squeeze over, get around that the cone zone there. Folks were good about leaving just enough space, but you still always gotta be vigilant. What's happening to the road ahead? Yeah, you could see some splits forming ahead. So at that point, I'm wondering, well, is this it? Is this when a big move goes off the front and stays away? But there's still plenty of strong legs in front of me, and we're on the fastest part of the course. It's bound to come back together. But this is where you're kind of keeping an eye up the road, thinking, what's going on up there? whatever it is, I'm not a part of it. So again, I'm going to keep my momentum going and head up the right side of the group here, at least get closer to the front and see what's going on. And yeah, you can see that big old split there. But you can also see some guys who are working hard to close it. So if I can get up there, if I can get through here before the road narrows, and sure enough, it comes back together. Now, if I were stronger, I would have counterattacked here. That would have been a perfect opportunity to do so. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, this group, someone is bound to counterattack. You know, when you got some guys who've just been caught, maybe they're, well, whatever it is, you're going slower, and if you get the jump on them, you can either create a gap or at a minimum make your competitors have to work to close that gap. So I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I'm pretty happy being up close to the front. But again, my goal is to be invisible. I'm really just kind of surfing the wheels and just kind of monitoring what's going on. But I'm not at the point where I'm really going to be part of it yet. And now this is when your head's on a swivel looking for the next counterattack. But yeah, see what my wattage does here. Just barely got above 450 momentarily. Not sure whose brakes those were. But yeah, it's nice getting to go easy, but again, you're just waiting for someone to jump up the hill. And there we go. Yeah, it's so funny. That was a conversation I don't remember hearing in the race, but my microphone was in the best spot to pick it up. And once again, we're getting really kind of disorganized coming into this corner at the bottom of the hill. I'm losing some places. But, you know, in a case like that, you just try to keep it smooth, try to establish your line through the corner, and get through there in one piece. In other news, oh yeah. Ooh, yikes, that was fun. we lapped a rider, and I kind of noticed him at the last minute, and I had just enough room to get around him. But then the rider that let me out kind of came across my nose, so yeah, gotta stay on your toes. In other news, I'm not riding him now, but I've got a set of wheels now set up for road tubeless. I've been riding Vittoria Corsa graphene tires for years and years now, and I've had enough just slow leaks, slow flats at inopportune times. It's really kind of pissed me off. So I took my spare wheels and set them up for road tubeless, and I've got some Vittoria Corsa TLR tubeless ready tires. They're not the gum walls; they're solid black tires, but so far so good. They're on my spare wheels that are in the pit. Once I get some more tires, I'll put them on my carbon wheels as well. But so far, I'm impressed. I was concerned that the ride quality would be completely different, but it's not bad. The tires are a little bit heavier, and of course you got the weight of the sealant, but you got no tube, so there's not a weight penalty. It's just a matter of staying on top of keeping the sealant topped off, getting the tires to seal initially. That has proven to be a trick, but I found it. I guess what you're supposed to do is hold the wheel horizontally, almost horizontally, and just shake it up and down as you rotate the wheel to distribute that sealant everywhere, and then that seems to hold the air a lot better. But so I feel like I've at least partially gone to the dark side with tubeless. So here's a nice little move. I'm following this rider to improve my position a bit without too much effort on my part. And then there's an attack. And I'm just hoping that not too many people come cascading around me.
The boys laying off the throttle, off the incline, 7 laps remaining.
So you heard the announcer, 7 laps to go. A little grab ass going on in front of me. Sometimes it's good to just put a hand out, let a rider know you're there. Safest places to do that is right on the hip. But as such, I call it grab ass. When you put your hand on another rider's hip, you're right close to his center of gravity. You're not going to upset his handling or something like that. But if you need to move someone out of the way, that's the best place to push him, because he will move. Doesn't have a lot of choice in the matter. You can't do that indiscriminately, but it is a potential lifesaver if you're in a bad situation. But yep, so we saw 7 laps to go. So this will be 6. Free laps are over. So once it depends on the race. The officials will explain it every time. But this time around, they said with 8 laps to go, if you had a mishap that required you to come into the pit and change a wheel or make repairs, you had to be back in the field before the field took the line with 8 laps to go. So if you get a flat right now, you're SOL. But folks are kind of sizing each other up. I forget the race situation. I'm not sure where the lead moto is. We'll see once we get to the top of the hill. So it's a good idea to listen to the announcers. You're going through the start-finish. He was trying to count the number of riders in a group, and then I looked up and saw that there was a split forming. So, we're late enough in the race. We just, what was that? I think we saw 5 to go, and or was that 6? Well, 5 or 6 to go. And again, it's like, well, is that the move? So I try to start moving up, see what's going on, and you do see a bit of a split ahead, but they don't have a big head of steam, whereas we do. So we're rolling right up to the back of that group. So after we turn the corner, you will see the lead moto up the road, and I'm gonna move up a bit again. So you'll see in just a second, the rider on the right kind of comes out to see what's going on. Right there, he gives me a little wave. I think that's Ben Sharp with stages, but you know, sometimes you got to do that to protect your own wheel, and you know, he recognized that may have screwed up someone behind him, and he gave me a little wave, which was nice. But then he goes up the road, so let's see what Ben's doing. Oh no, I'm sorry, he is bridging up to a couple other riders, I think.
The last stages rider on the way. That is Big Frank Scammering on the back.
So yes, indeed, there is a breakaway, and you'll notice some riders going after it. I'm going to hop on. So 4.5 laps to go. I'm no longer invisible. Let's see if I can make something happen in this race. It's so tantalizing right now because I can see the lead of the race up ahead. Obviously, the riders immediately in front of me are going after them. I'm getting a free ride at the moment, but how long is that going to last? Whoop, not too long. And at this point, I'm of two minds. I'm not putting out huge power. Do I want to try to bridge? Well, no one's coming around me. What do I do? So looking at my power here, I'm pushing it. I really should have probably just tried to jump for all I was worth, but instead I'm just dragging this stages rider along, and his teammate Patrick Warner's in the break. So he's not going to do anything but sit there, nor should he. But I'm game. I'll pull the field. One nice thing about it is I finally get a clear shot at this corner. Still didn't pedal through it, probably could have, but... So now I'm stuck at the front, going up the hill, thinking, crap, I'm not going to get this done. Stages is sitting on me, and here come the attacks. And at this point, the alarm bells are ringing very, very loudly, because I need to get on these guys. But I'm tired from having pulled, and it's just a matter of when can I merge in. So I'm looking over my shoulder, or looking, under my shoulder, really, just looking for a spot to slide in. And finally, I do. But even then, I'm not pegging my heart rate, but getting up there. And we should be seeing 3 laps to go this time. So now I've gone from the front to halfway back, thinking, oh boy. Well, so you heard the announcer again. There you have it. We did catch the breakaway, but I think Patrick Warner either had just gone off the front again, or he was away from the break. So anyway, let's sit back and watch the end of the race.
As I say that, of course, our gold silver rider needs to guys prove it. I think that he's done it. I think how well.
So there's the bell, 1 lap to go. If I wanted to be a factor in this finish, I'd be a lot further up, so I'm just going to try and stay out of trouble. One last time up the hill. So one thing I didn't comment on was we did catch the 1670 plus riders, so we're kind of mixed in with them right now. So it's a race within a race, but really we're just, like I say, one last time up the hill, you're going to see Bennett Hug with Modern Market come rocketing up my left side. And I end up 25th, which nets me exactly 1 point in the Road Cup standings. There goes Bennett. But it was a fun race, really. I met my goal. I'll call it a pack finish. Patrick Warner ended up off the front 16 seconds, I think, ahead of the field. But there you have it. Louisville Crit 2022. It was fun. It was safe. And we will see you next time.